afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Back from the Grid podcast in 2020. My name is Cody. You're wonderful, you're awesome, you're a very friendly host, and I'm here today with...
Matthew, your other host.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Happy 2020.
What?
It's been a while.
Dude, how was your New Year's?
It was great. I went to like 3 different parties. I think you went to a couple parties too.
I went to one or two. It was, we had a fun time, hung out with family members, and did stuff and things, and there was lots of food. There was lots of food involved.
It was wonderful.
Prime rib. Lots of food and stuff involved for sure. So, Matthew, we're back.
We are back from our long 2.5 week hiatus. Everybody, we're so sorry. Not really.
It was the holidays, so...
It's the holiday season, but we are back, finally.
From the grid.
Oh, my God.
Wow, that was a fake laugh. Okay, so... Matthew, we're back, and things are cool. So, guys, before we begin...
The most important part of the show.
No, not quite. Something before that. I want to talk to everybody about the new stuff that we've got for 2020. Because remember, we told you guys that we were going to do some new things. We had some cool things coming up. All right, so first of all... We're going to do live streams. Weekly live streams, everybody.
Way.
Weekly live streams. They're going to start up next Wednesday, and we're going to try, no promises, but we're going to try to do every Wednesday from noon to 2-ish Central Standard Time. We're going to try and do live streams and play some video games and hang out with you guys.
So, yeah, don't forget to go ahead and
check
join
us out. Come out, have fun. We're going to try to do it every Wednesday, so even if you're listening to this way in the past, way in the future, way in the past, yeah, you've just time traveled or some crap, you can come and hopefully hang out and join, and it'll be fun.
Unless we're all dead.
Because of reasons. Anyways, so there is that. We're also going to be spicing up the podcast a little bit. Matthew, I think you're working on some stuff.
Yeah, we do. We got a lot of exciting stuff, but we'll leave that to be a surprise.
Ooh.
It's going to be interesting. So don't expect this to be a regular podcast like traditional podcasts we've had in 2019. Yeah. We're going to start out 2020 in mystery. Some interesting stuff. It's going to be exciting. We're going to start it off awesome this year.
Well,
we're going to go kick butt, take names.
Something that's going to be exciting. Something that's going to be exciting.
What?
For 2020.
There's a certain
game that's coming out in 2020. Are you guys ready?
Is it Cyberpunk 2077?
Well, I mean, you got it.
Oh, yeah, there we go, yeah.
Mountain Blade Bannerlord comes out in 52 days, guys. 52 days, Woo-hoo! Mountain Blade Bannerlord comes out in early access. And I'll be honest, I haven't played much of the beta just yet.
Didn't you say from our last discussion that you were kind of worried?
I am, but to be fair, I have upgraded my computer a little bit. And hopefully I will be able to play the beta now, and then I will get back to you guys on an actual opinion and review of the beta. But fingers crossed. So Matthew, what games have you been playing for the past few weeks, and what's been going on in your world?
I played Until Dawn. So if anybody doesn't know, I bought a PlayStation 4 during the holiday season. Yeah, and I've been playing a crap ton of PlayStation exclusives. I have like 20 games on the console.
Yeah, and I will tell you guys, originally he was like, really, oh man, I really shouldn't buy this. Oh, I bought it, but I'm not going to do much with it. And then now he's addicted.
It's so much, and I can't believe I'm going to say this. I think I like it more than Xbox.
Wow.
It's got so many exclusives that I love. Spider-Man, Tetris Effect. I mean, Tetris Effect isn't really it's more of a console exclusive. But I've been playing it, and it's so addicting. I've been playing that nonstop. And literally all I think about is how Tetris pieces are falling into place now in my head. So now
all the pieces have fallen into place.
It's all fallen into place.
It's all coming together.
I played Until Dawn, and I tried doing a trying to do a playthrough where I don't get any characters killed. And I freaked out near the end of it because at the very end of it, there was a part where you had to not move the controller, and I accidentally moved the controller, and it killed one of the characters. And I was like, no!
How could you?
No, and I cheated. I restarted from a save point.
You save scum. Wow, Matthew.
I was like, I'm not going through and playing through this game again.
That's fair.
Okay.
I can't blame you for that.
Literally, there's no like checkpoint like thing or anything. I'm gonna go back. I'm not going through the whole thing and doing that again. But yeah, no. What have you been doing?
Well, that's a very good question, Matthew. I have been playing some VR stuff.
Yes, you did get a new VR headset recently.
I think we already talked about that, didn't we?
Did we?
The HMD Odyssey.
I
think we talked about that. I'm pretty sure we talked about it on the podcast.
Nah,
I'm pretty sure we did. Yeah. But yes, I've been playing like Beat Saber and stuff, and it's been really fun. And actually, just today, because tomorrow I have a thing I'm gonna do. I've been working on my new D&D character.
Oh, you're gonna play D&D again?
Yeah, I've got a campaign starting
exciting.
tomorrow. I cannot wait, guys. I've been waiting on this campaign. It's a buddy of mine that I work with. He's gonna start running it, and he's been planning it out since like November. So I've been excited, and I've got my character set up. I'm gonna go home, put the finishing touches on him after the podcast. It's gonna be great. I'm looking forward to it. I love D&D, and if you don't know what D&D is, or you have any interest in getting into it, go and look up the show on YouTube, Critical Role, and just watch them. They're a group of voice actors who play D&D, and they've got years of content on YouTube. Just go check them out. Because they're awesome, and I want to give a shout out to them because I've been binging all their stuff. I've been a little obsessed. They're really great people and do great stuff. And yeah, go check them out. D&D is awesome. I highly recommend it for everyone. It only has a little bit to do with demonic rituals, so you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
But you know what they should also look into?
What?
Our social media pages.
What are those, Matthew?
You were putting me on the spot today. I see how this is.
Well, you brought it up.
At Back from the Grid on Twitter, Back from the Grid on Facebook, and then what?
Back from the Grid podcast on Facebook.
Back from the Grid podcast on Facebook, and then just Back from the Grid
on Twitter.
On Twitch.
Yes.
See, not even you are immune to messing up.
Hey. This is podcast. All right.
Wow.
So let's
those dank
move on to everyone's favorite news segment, Today in the Grid.
Oh.
Matthew, what do you have for us about Today in the Grid?
So we're gonna go ahead and talk about PlayStation 5. PlayStation 5. PlayStation 5. Yeah.
All right.
Man, we got a logo. Holy crap. I mean, that's it, guys. That literally trumps everything that we're talking about. It's just automatically the best news of 2020. Automatically. We got a logo.
All right. Sorry for all you headphone users out there.
Anyway, jokes aside, from all the memes and stuff surrounding that announcement, we got a couple of new announcements, some old news that we've known for a while now, and some new news.
Some moo news.
Some moo. That's our segment.
We've got
name.
cows, ladies and gentlemen. We've got cows.
Actually, for every PlayStation 5, it has an udder. You can get free milk forever now.
Wow.
Don't ask where the milk comes from.
All right. That's great. What else about the PlayStation 5, Matthew? Let's get off of this train before it wrecks. Oh, wait, it already did. Let's go. What else is about the PlayStation 5?
So, things that we do know about PlayStation 5.
I can't stop imagining a PlayStation with udders now on a train flying off a cliff. All right, that's great.
Oh my god. This is great. We got new 3D audio sounds, a new way of handling audio. It's more 3D surround sound, different to what traditional stereo sounding that PlayStation 4 has.
Yeah.
It's not a huge feature. What is they're removing rumble from the PlayStation 5 DualShock 5 controllers and replacing them with what PlayStation calls haptic/adaptive triggers.
Oh, so the vibration comes from the triggers instead of like the whole controller or something?
No. So the feel of triggers on it will feel completely different based on games. So for example, with Call of Duty, guns that use heavier triggers, the trigger itself will actually feel tighter.
Yeah.
For that.
Okay.
So it will adapt to the game basically. Also, a really interesting thing with this next generation of consoles is they are ditching regular hard drives, just regular hard drives, and are moving to SSD drives, which is great because this will significantly lower load times and will make games feel very snappy with doing certain things in game. Also, another big thing is hardware-based ray tracing. So we know that's been a feature touted by both Xbox and PlayStation for next-gen consoles. And PC kind of got introduced to it with NVIDIA's GTX or RTX lines. And NVIDIA and then AMD are starting to get into it. And I'm not entirely shocked, as I'm mostly certain that the PlayStation and Xbox One are going to be off the same architecture as AMD's hardware. So it will be interesting to see how ray tracing works on consoles opposed to PC. And for those who don't know what ray tracing is a new way of handling light in video games to where it's more accurate light. With how
lighting engine.
Yeah.
It's so you get the God rays and you get like the shadows and lighting, all that good stuff.
And also it like changes the colors. Like if you were going through glass or something like that. Yeah. So, and we're also finally, go ahead and give me a drum roll, please, for this one, Cody. We're getting a 4K Blu-ray player.
What?
Oh, man.
That's crazy.
That's not actually a huge announcement.
Not
but
really.
PlayStation 4 Pro, one big feature that was missing considering its higher price tag is the fact that it didn't even have a 4K Blu-ray player in it.
Wow.
So you're paying $400 for a console that can't even play freaking 4K Blu-rays.
Guys, get with the program.
Literally a 4K console that can only stream 4K content. That's ridiculous.
Now, Matthew, I have a question. Because I've heard rumors about the PlayStation 5.
Oh?
I've heard tales about some epic things that this console can do. And I want you to either confirm or deny these rumors, if possible. I've heard that the PlayStation 5 will be back compatible with all other PlayStations.
Back compatible.
Yes. That's what I said. Compatible with all previous PlayStations.
So,
am I correct or not?
Although non-confirmed yet, there is a huge rumor with some reputable sources stating the fact that PlayStation will support all the way back to PlayStation 1 games.
Wow.
Which is exciting, which would be a huge hit on Xbox. Xbox has been trying to go ahead and get to that, but if Sony is somehow able to make it to where all PlayStation games are being able to play on this console,
that would be incredible.
That would be amazing to be able to play these older games on newer hardware. And imagine all the new things you'd be able to do.
I would bet that would pull some old PlayStation fans back from Nintendo and Xbox if they could play their old classic games.
Another thing that has been confirmed, though, is that this console will support PlayStation 4 VR.
Oh, okay.
So your VR headsets, anybody that owns a PlayStation 4 and are worried about upgrading to losing PlayStation VR, do not worry. Your PlayStation 4 games will not only be able to play on this, but your PlayStation 4 VR will work on this console. Okay. So, however, one unfortunate thing is there's no news of new PlayStation VR hardware, which is kind of disappointing because although the PlayStation 4 VR has done a great job, it sold over in its entire lifetime as of CES, over 5 million units, which for a VR headset is amazing. However, I don't know if Sony's really deep diving into this. It would be amazing if they could do more with PlayStation VR. Yeah. And they've done a really good job with supporting PlayStation VR. I just wish to see more into the future, maybe newer hardware.
I know PlayStation VR is not the best way to experience VR, but I do think it's a great opening. It's a great starting point for a lot of people for VR because VR it's new. It's only been around for 4 years, like in its entire lifespan, besides like the Virtual Boy or something. Yeah. But VR is very new, and I think PlayStation VR is a great way for people to get introduced to it.
So yeah, that's that news from Sony's conference. Cody, let's go on to the next.
Let's talk a little bit about the PlayStation 5, Matthew.
Oh.
I want to talk a little bit more about that.
You do want to talk about it.
Is Xbox announced any new?
They actually showed it off the
console?
hardware.
Do they have a new console?
They do have. It's called. Get ready for this drum roll. I know this is gonna seem. Xbox One Series X is the name.
That's confusing.
They showed it at the Game Awards last year.
Uh-huh.
I can say that now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can. Oh jeez. It's 2020, guys.
I still don't got 2020 vision. I still have like poor eyesight.
Yeah, you're still wearing glasses. You scrub.
Oh my god. I'm gonna go out of here now.
You visual scrub. All right. But how does the PlayStation 5 compare to Xbox's answer?
Well, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of information that these console manufacturers are really wanting to give about these consoles.
They're keeping it on the down low.
Yeah, they're keeping it. They're waiting for E3. Obviously, PlayStation really does not want to talk more about this. I'm going to be honest. The CES, when they went to CES, I feel like after seeing the conference, they didn't really want to talk a whole lot about the console. I mean, yeah, they talked about certain aspects of it.
Yeah.
They didn't talk about pricing. They didn't show off the console. They didn't show off DualShock 5. They didn't even really show that many exclusive games. And I feel like the reason why is because they're really wanting to wait till E3. Yeah. And then Sony, and it's not Sony's fault, it's Microsoft's fault. Because Microsoft was like, hey guys, you know what's a great idea? Let's show the new Xbox during the holiday season where people are going to be buying Xbox Ones.
That's a good
That's
point.
A great
That's a good
strategy.
Point.
I mean, literally, I was watching conference and I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm like, why did they show this off now? Literally during the holiday season where people are going to, this was before Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, people are buying new consoles and stuff for their family. It's like, oh, why would I buy Xbox One if I just wait longer and just get like an Xbox One? I will say, Microsoft's strategy this generation is probably the weirdest strategy I've seen out of all three companies.
Why is that?
Because it looks like they're focusing more on services than the actual hardware.
They want to be the family home console instead of the gaming console.
Yeah. Like, I mean, look at their exclusives, for example. They're not really exclusives. You can play them on PC.
Yeah.
Like, they're pushing PC. You can even play them on Steam now.
Okay.
So, they've bought how many studios? Like 12 or 13 game studios for just them. So I feel like they're focusing more on console exclusivity, but in general exclusivity as a whole, they don't really care about general exclusivity.
Yeah, because Microsoft's going back on Steam.
Yeah.
They're working with Steam again.
Leads me to my biggest problem. And I feel like it is going to be Microsoft's biggest issue going forward with this next generation. Why should I buy an Xbox One Series X if I can just play all the games on that console on Xbox One? What makes me... And that's my problem with Microsoft just in general the last two generations.
Yeah.
What is... Like, because, I mean, if you go to PlayStation, they bring so many good exclusives to the field.
Yeah, to the table.
To the table. And Microsoft, I mean, they're trying to alleviate that issue, but at the same time, they've also created a new issue with this new strategy.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's their thing, is they're not focusing on Xbox as a hardware.
As a gaming
They're
console.
focusing on making it a service.
They want it the family home service console.
I mean, look at their xCloud service. Have you heard much about that? It's their subscription-based service that allows you to play. It's like the Netflix of streaming games. It's a cloud-based...
Is it like Google Stadia?
Yes, but way better.
Oh.
So you are allowed, and they actually launched this at beta if you want to look into it a little bit more, guys. But yeah, no, you are basically playing Xbox games from Project xCloud, and you can play 60 4K resolution. That's what they're planning right now. I'm pretty sure it's locked at 1080 or 720, depending on which device you use.
Which, I mean, it's not bad, you know.
And it is in beta. It's not fully launched yet. It doesn't even have a full-on official name yet. It's just called xCloud. But it's extremely promising. And the one thing that gives it a good standing over Stadia is the fact that it actually is a la carte. It's a la carte gaming. You don't pay for each individual game like Stadia.
You pay for the service to play the games. You pay for the service.
As it should be. As it should be.
Yeah.
And you just get unlimited access to all these games, which I give them mad props for.
That is the correct way to do that, for sure.
And I will say last year when they announced the Ultimate Game Pass, that was a really cool thing for them to have done.
Yeah.
So hopefully they focus on services if that's the case, but hardware-wise, I wouldn't buy them. But anyway,
cool.
Let's go ahead and move
All
on
right.
into Cody's story.
All right, everybody. So
I'm interested in this because he
Yes.
was talking about this a little bit before.
I will let you guys in on a secret. Every time we've done the news segments, my news story, Matthew's already known about it every time because he's all up in this.
And
sort
I'm
of
not
stuff.
into. I don't know anything about this one. So,
Yeah,
and I've
so-
heard about it.
This is a very new story. It came out today. Well, today's the 9th, but tomorrow will be the 10th when you guys are able to hear this. But it came out early this morning, actually. The stories I'm looking at are from GameSpot, and they are both written by Kaylee. Oh, I don't know how to say that name. Plagge. Plage?
Gold
Plag?
Star.
Yeah, Kaylee. Or at Inky Dodgy KKO. On whatever the socials probably. So the headline is Pokemon Sword and Shield getting more old Pokemon, free updates on the way. However, I'm looking at a couple here. Pokemon Sword and Shield expansion pass will let you explore raid dens. So the story is that the newest Pokemon Sword and Shield, is getting DLC.
Oh.
So, I think a lot of people might remember, if you were at all interested in the new Pokemon stories and news that have come out about it, one of the hugest issues that faced this game upon its release was the fact that it did not bring a lot of old Pokemon to the new game. Which, I mean, is fair, because it takes a lot of resources to keep creating Pokemon, and each new game has new Pokemon, which they have to continue to bring to the newest Pokemon. But still, when your Pokemon that you love gets deleted or axed from the game, then, you know, it creates a divide in the player base. But anyway, so Pokemon, the expansions, will bring both brand new creatures and over 200 older ones that previously did not make the cut. So DLC in a Pokemon game is a new thing. However,
I mean, not entirely. We did have that Pokemon fighting game, Pokken Tournament, and that had DLC.
Okay, okay,
But that's not
fair.
really a main line.
Yeah, when I mean a mainstay like Pokemon Red and Blue, Pokemon Yellow, Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, all that good stuff. We haven't ever seen paid expansions in these games. However, you know, it's a little different now, and the times are changing. So the upsides to this is that you do not have to purchase the DLC in order to access the new / old Pokemon. There's new content that you will not be able to access without purchasing it, like new regions to explore and you know, things like that, and a new co-op gameplay mechanic, which allows you to encounter legendary Pokemon. I think that comes from the Crown Tundra expansion, but the way that you can access the Pokemon, the new and old Pokemon that are added from this expansion, will be there's a free update coming as well. And this free update will allow you to trade with other players who have the expansion. So yes, it still sucks that there's paid expansions in the Pokemon games. There's already 2 separate games that you have to buy, and now there's 2 separate expansions. Now, I am not entirely certain. I believe you can get both expansions even if you have 1 copy of the game. But
I feel like
it might be 1 expansion per game. I'm not 100% sure about that. I did not find that before, which I probably should have done. But yeah, so there's Pokemon DLC. There's new gameplay mechanics. There's new things to explore. There's new Pokemon. Luckily, you can get the Pokemon, but you have to trade for them with other people that have the expansions if you cannot get the expansions. There are also adding their own, each expansion will add its own raid dens where players can find Pokemon that aren't available in the current wild area. I personally have not played the newest Pokemon, so some of this information is foreign to me, but yeah, so I mean, there's good and bad things about this. They're adding old Pokemon. They're not adding all of them, just a large amount, which it helps. I believe the Crown Tundra expansion, the second of the 2 expansions, so yes, it might be just general expansions, not explicitly for each version of the game, The Crown Tundra expansion is set to release in fall of this year, so it's not coming out just yet. But yeah, so there's good and bad things about this. Overall, I don't really have much of an opinion on it. Matthew, what do you think about all this?
I am just going to say this because I'm going to get into a rant if I don't.
Go for it.
I'm on the side of Cody, a little bit more lenient on that. I don't think this should be in a Pokemon game.
Mm-hmm.
I think the game should have shipped as it should.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're going to do paid expansions, what I think that they need to do in the future is just have a Pokemon game, just called Pokemon. And you introduce paid expansions into it, something like on the lines of Warcraft.
Oh, make
where
it
the
like
base game is free.
Like a live service?
Not really a live service, but make the base game free. Like you get like 4, like, you know, you get 4 things. And then they released DLC, like, you know, $10 instead of, you know, making games, all these new games every year.
Yeah.
They just have the same game, the one game that comes out, just called Pokemon.
And then they just add on to it.
And then they have add-ons for it with different regions that you get.
I mean, yeah, if it's free, personally, I can understand adding the DLC because, like I said, with each new game that they add into the whole Pokemon series, that's like 200 extra assets they have to create. Sound effects they have to create,
even though
animations they have to create.
Same stuff.
Well, not necessarily because it goes into a new game engine.
Nope. Have you not been keeping up with the Sword and Shield? They've literally reused the exact same models, the exact same animations from the last couple of games, from like Ultra Moon and like.
I don't know. I haven't been keeping up with Pokemon. I haven't played Pokemon since Heart Gold and Soul Silver.
That was their excuse for not having the Pokédex. Like, you know, the big one from the last couple of games was, well, we can't just put that in there. There's too, you know, we can't do that. So
there's a little bit of darkness behind this story here, I see.
And literally, they're like,
a little bit of greed.
We redid all the animations and all this. But no, they didn't. Heck, there's YouTubers out there and people within the community that have discovered that the models for Sword and Shield are the exact same models as the 3DS games. They did absolutely nothing. The animations are ridiculous. Like exactly the same as the previous one. I mean, for one where it's just kick, literally all the Pokemon did was just jump and just be like jump into the game.
Yeah.
There's like they say that we can't do that because then we'd have to do animations and all this for all these several hundred Pokemon. So they cut the deck down to like how many Pokemon were in Sword and Shield? Like 200 and some?
Not nearly as much as there had been in the previous.
So you think they would put more time into the animations and stuff, but no, they just reused some of the exact same animations
and
with hardly any detail.
And now they're bringing in new Pokemon for money. Although, to be fair, I will say again, you can get those Pokemon, you just have to trade for them.
That, and the game doesn't even look that good in some areas. I mean, if you go in and see the textures on some of it, I understand it's a Switch game, but that is like no excuse, because you have like Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, that game looks drop dead gorgeous. I feel like Game Freak's just being lazy at this point.
I mean, honestly,
and this is my opinion.
Honestly, they've been making the same game, just reskinned for so long. Eventually, it was going to break. Like, I would love to see...
And I feel like that's their problem.
Yeah, I would love to see the Pokemon IP used for something entirely different. For maybe, like an open world game, but with Pokemon. I think that would be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
Instead of killing Pokemon over and over and over again to level up your guys, maybe, like, dynamically train them. So, you know, you actually have to spend time with each individual Pokemon doing certain actions and whatever it is to train them how to do this one move. Make it more like the anime. That would be really cool.
Now, you do have to keep in mind that they'd probably have to do... That'd be really difficult to keep it from being tedious. Because imagine doing that every time.
My point is, I would love to see them do something else with the Pokemon IP. Besides the same game, just re-released with different assets and more controversy the next year. But I mean,
this game has been garnering a lot of controversy in recent times. But anyway,
however, Pokemon Sword and Shield, new expansions. You might like it, you might not. But there it is. So next, Matthew, I believe this is going to be something that you're very interested in. What's our next segment?
our next segment is going to be screen time. Now, guys, this
Screen
is
time.
our review kind of segment where we talk about movies,
Mm-hmm.
and just movies.
Yep. And there's a big movie. There's
a
a
big movie
old
that
movie.
recently came out that we're late to the show.
A little bit.
A little bit late to the show, but we're gonna get into it.
Came out during the holidays.
It's Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker.
Dun dun dun. All right,
So,
Matthew, I'm gonna turn my microphone off. You go for it.
No, well, don't turn that off. We don't want another issue. Flashbacks, Vietnam flashback.
Oh, well, yeah, that's okay.
Oh God.
All right, Matthew. Okay, so just so you guys are aware, me and Matthew both have different opinions of this movie.
So
We both see it in a different light, and I'm not gonna say either one of us is correct, but we both have different
opinions.
I feel like
and
we both had different expectations from the movie. So Matthew, why don't you go ahead and start?
going forward.
Oh, by the way, sorry, the movie's been out long enough. We're not gonna worry about non-spoiler effect.
There's gonna be spoilers.
We're gonna talk about spoilers here. So,
If
we
you've not
should
watched the
probably
film.
put this at the very end of the thing. That's okay.
We'll go ahead and
The movie's been out long enough now. Hopefully, you guys have seen it. If not, skip ahead. And I mean, there's not really any way we can tell you.
for YouTube.
Skip
we'll
ahead
go
like
ahead
10.
and show you.
Yeah, go look at YouTube or something. But if not, skip ahead about 10 to 15 minutes. And if we're still talking about it, skip more, and you'll get.
You'll
past
be
it. Hopefully,
fine.
or just go watch the movie and come back.
Yeah, just go watch the movie and go back
Yeah.
because I feel like this is a very opinionated movie.
Yes.
So I'm gonna be honest. I feel like this movie is a very polarizing movie in similar ways to The Last Jedi. A lot of the fandom has kind of been split in different opinions, and I feel like that is telling of just how this series is going. A lot of people, and I am going to say this, Cody, you've had fond memories of Star Wars as a brand.
Absolutely. I think everyone has.
Do you feel like your opinion after seeing all three of the new trilogy movies has changed for the entirety of the Star Wars brand?
So, first of all, before I do that,
To kind of lead in.
I wanted to point out, as you were talking about, the division that exists with this movie. So I went to Rotten Tomatoes and I pulled up the review scores of this movie. Critics, that's the tomato meter, right? That's the critics thing, I think.
I feel like, though, when
check.
you're seeing... So I will say, Rotten Tomatoes, I usually vouch for them.
Well, I'm not even saying if the review scores are correct, but what I want to say is, from the looks of it, the critics have given this movie a 54%, which is basically the same as saying it's a garbage movie and it's horrible. But the audience has given it almost a 90%. So that you can tell is a big indicator of just how divisive this movie is. And to answer your question, absolutely not. Absolutely not. My overall opinion of Star Wars will never change. They could release a fully fledged blockbuster film of Jar Jar Binks just doing like the Gangnam Style dance, and I would still love the rest of the movies. Like, that will never change my overall love for Star Wars. And especially because this new trilogy, I enjoyed it for the most part. It's not perfect. It's definitely flawed. But overall, I enjoyed it. But what about you? Did it change your overall opinion of Star Wars?
I feel like the answer would be kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Because it has me worried. Okay, so I've been pretty vocal about Star Wars.
Yeah.
Just
we literally had to check each other like for 30 minutes before we started recording because we
really
kept trying to
wanted
get into the
this
discussion, but we wanted to wait for you guys.
I feel like as a film that this film is okay.
Yeah.
As a Star Wars, I feel like we have expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And we have differing expectations. As a community, I feel like we've kind of we've been polarized because it has kind of led us to I guess some people have differing opinions of what they wanted this film to be.
Yeah.
My expectations going into this film is that it would be a satisfying conclusion to a 9-part trilogy or a kind of drama, as George Lucas's kind of set out to this.
Yeah.
This probably would be like a sitcom kind of, rom-com kind of thing. A drama in space, as he would put it originally. That's what he wanted Star Wars to kind of be. And I kind of walked out of the film better than when I was walking in, because I did see reviews going into this film, and
Oh yeah, the reviews going into this
I
film made me
was
worried.
worried.
Yeah.
I will say I came out of the film feeling better than when I went into the film, to the theater, and to go watch it. That being said, that does not say this is a perfect film.
Oh no,
And
it's not perfect by any means.
also being said, that does not mean this makes it one of the better Star Wars films. In my opinion, I would say this is the third, probably fourth worst Star Wars film. And I don't say that in a mean way, and I
I mean,
don't
that's
say
like
that in a
saying
bad way.
it's middle good. Which,
It's
you know,
okay.
Yeah.
That is all I can say. But as what's supposed to be the epic finale of the Skywalker trilogy and the story that is the main story of the Star Wars trilogy, it's disappointing.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like this movie is. It's not bad. It's not great. It's okay. And it's disappointing. And that's what I have to say about that.
So, let me interject.
And that's why
here
people are upset.
real quick. I think I get where you're coming from now. Now that you said that you wanted a satisfying conclusion to the 9 films as a whole. So, I think that's where we differ. Because I went into this movie ready for a good movie to cap the series. But I had no expectations whatsoever because of all the different people who have worked on all of these different films that it was going to have anything to do with the rest of the movies. I went to this one film with all my love for Star Wars to watch this one film. And I didn't care about the rest of them. I could care less about, the one right before it or the very first one or the prequels or any of that. That had no bearing for me on this film. What I loved about this film was not the direction or even the graphical fidelity of the film. What I loved about this film was the storytelling and the character building. And finally giving me what I wanted, because the second movie had almost no character building at all. Not
there
necessarily.
isn't that much even here.
I disagree. We finally got to see character from Adam Driver instead of being the super depressed star lightsaber swinger guy. He actually had there was actually substance, and the movie's not perfect, but I will say on top of the character, because I felt like Ren's character finally came into her being, and something that I said, I don't know if I told you before, but I loved how they made not Ren, Rey. What's the main lady's name?
Rey.
They're all start with R and are 3 letters, so it's confusing. Rey. The main character, Rey, I think was an excellent way of having a powerful, strong, independent female character without shoving it down your throat and saying, hey, I'm a strong, independent female character. That's great. Show it. Don't tell it. And I think Rey, her whole story in this one film, I'm not worried about the others, in this one film was excellent. I think she had an excellent just entire arc end with this film and come together. Another big plus for me for this movie was that they actually finally included lore elements. The whole scene with Palpatine, and yes, I understand it's kind of weird that he's back and stuff, but ignoring that...
I mean, that's not that bad of an idea. I theorized a bunch about this film. But anyway,
yeah, but anyway, ignoring that, like plot holes and stuff, yeah, it's not perfect. There was actually lore elements, and the whole Sith lore. One of the biggest issues I had with the previous 2 films was that Star Wars is it's not even just a series. It's a
drama.
Well, no, I want to say a community, but that's not what I mean. It's lore. It's a universe. There we go. That's what I'm trying to think. Star Wars is a universe, and there's books and comics and pages and like series and fan stuff and all sorts of lore that they can draw on, and they hadn't touched it with the past 2 movies. It was just like
they threw out most of it.
Yeah, but still, that I loved so much the scenes with Palpatine and all that, the in-depth Sith stuff, and it's been a little bit since I've watched it, so I can't really place exactly what it was, but there was lots of lore. There was good character development, I thought. And overall, I enjoyed how it was an end to the series and not the culmination of the series as a whole. And the last thing I'll say that made me love this movie was how they dealt with Carrie Fisher. I think they gave her a proper send-off, and I was holding it together for that whole movie until I heard Chewbacca cry out about Carrie Fisher being dead. And oh my god, man, I lost it. That I can't even replicate.
Well,
it.
yeah,
That was
every one of his friends are dead.
I know. It was beautiful voice work. The story, well, not necessarily like the overarching story, but the story in the character stories were
that was
fantastic.
The most emotion I've ever seen.
I know, the
Chewbacca
most
give.
emotion,
and that's another issue. I feel like that was probably the most emotion I got out of that film, which also is telling of that film.
As I said, disagree, but continue.
Anyway, so let's go ahead and talk about just what we like and what we dislike. So you liked the fact that there was lore building.
It wasn't perfect.
Or not lore building, but just going back to its
They
material.
actually utilized the huge amount of lore that existed for the movie, and I really appreciated that.
What else do you like about the film?
Well, I mean, besides everything I just said,
Other than,
I will go ahead and put some criticism on there. The whole infinite Star Destroyer plot.
Oh, the whole like 10,000.
That was god awful.
Oh
God
yeah, no,
awful.
I hated that.
That was
so. Let me get
horrible.
this straight. Okay, so let's talk about the Death Star. Well, I really wanted to do it like what was good, what was bad, but let's go ahead and just jump into bad.
Well,
we've already talked about it a
We've
little
talked
bit.
about both.
Both.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what we did not like. Let's just start out with that. So anyway, to those that don't know, the Death Star. We'll talk about the Death Star right now. It is powered by presumably a gigantic kyber crystal, correct? So, yeah, it's powered by a gigantic kyber crystal, the same that's used in a lightsaber. So, my question is, how the heck did those... Okay, how did they get outfitted with gigantic planet-destroying kyber crystals when it was already super difficult to get one for the Death Star?
So, yeah.
How is that possible? And it's 10,000 of them.
Not just that, but it was also an issue I took with was how the rebel forces just automatically knew, oh, if you shoot the cannon, the whole thing blows up. How did you know that? You didn't know these things existed 5 seconds ago, but you just instantly
know immediately.
So I will agree, the overarching story plot and this movie, without it being Star Wars, without it having the weight of Star Wars on it, it's a garbage movie.
Yeah, you would probably.
It's a garbage movie.
But
the
does
only
that really...
reason?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, okay. The only reason this movie is good, in my opinion, is the characters. The characters, they drug this movie out of the hole that it was digging for itself. The characters and the actors and the writing for the characters are what drug this movie out of the hole that it dug for itself. But yeah, the plot, the overarching plot was asinine. It was just there's no connection to it. It very disjointed and all over the place. But yeah.
So
but what did you like about the film, Matthew? You haven't said positive things yet.
Oh, I thought we just got... Okay,
I said positive things. What did you like about the film?
Like I said, Chewbacca's scene was a good part of the film.
Yeah.
I do like... this was the first kind of film we finally got to see the main three kind of characters, Poe, Finn, and Rey, actually talk. Yeah. And this, I will say that I enjoyed. I wish there was more of it.
Yeah, we finally got to see them talk
to each other.
And then there was the part where Poe was gonna say this big secret to Rey. Yeah, and it was Poe to Rey, and then it was never said.
Not Poe to Rey, Finn to Rey.
Finn to Rey? Oh yeah, I got the names mixed up. Yeah, the former stormtrooper guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was gonna say it, and there's this whole big scene, and there was like 5 minutes of like, oh, I need to really tell you this, and then nothing. Then they don't even go back to it. I'm sure that was a scene that got cut out.
There's a lot of talk about a lot of stuff went to the cutting floor.
Yeah.
And
that scene where he said that should have been cut at that point. If they weren't gonna like.
But then you have to think about it. There was a lot of footage, and a lot of major stuff also happened in between those scenes.
Mm-hmm.
So they were probably like, if we were in order for us to remove those scenes, we'd have to reshoot stuff, and then we'd have to waste more time.
Yeah.
So I guess they were like, they had 3 less months than they did than The Force Awakens. So JJ was kind of like, we have to move on.
Really, I think what they should have done is made the movie 3 hours long. And just pulled a Lord of the Rings, It Chapter 2, just pulled one of those, made the movie 3 to 4 hours long to fit everything.
I would have been perfectly fine. But but by the sound of it, with JJ been talking about it, Kathleen Kennedy was like, he needs to spend more time in the cutting room floor, cutting stuff out of the film. There's a whole, by the looks of it, there was actually a whole character removed from this film.
Oh, really?
By the looks of it, you know the guy that was on the ship, that alien dude at the very beginning, where they're like Poe and Finn and them are in the Millennium Falcon, and then there's that weird alien guy. You only see him once, and then he just disappears.
Yeah,
that guy's on the poster.
Yeah, they set him up to be like some
important dude.
Yeah, and they actually gave him like lines, and he was like had a close up on him and stuff. And
you want to bet? You want to bet that a lot of that footage is on the cutting room floor?
I'm sure.
So I feel like that makes a lot of sense if you think about it. There's probably a ton of cut footage from this film. Mm-hmm. So I expect, I'm going to say this right now, J.J. Abrams, if you're listening to this,
you must release. You're totally listening to this.
I want to see the full 3-hour cut of this film.
I've seen a petition for the J.J. Abrams cut of
I want to see the whole film, because I bet you $5 there's probably 3 hours worth of footage.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
To this film.
I'm sure.
And I want to see it on the Blu-ray release.
One more thing I want to talk about before we move on, because we don't want this podcast to be too long.
I didn't even get to talk about the things I hate.
Well, go for it. I've only got one other thing to talk about, so go for it.
So, Palpatine is my biggest gripe with this film. Mm-hmm. So, originally, I had theorized that Palpatine would come back as a Force ghost of some sorts. Mm-hmm. Basically, kind of possessing...
Was that before or after the trailer that had him laughing? Or
that was after.
Scene?
And I was like, oh my god, that would be so cool if they were to do this.
That was after?
Yes.
Okay.
After that trailer, I was like, I was thinking about it. I was theorizing. And I was like, it would be really cool if they were to do it like this, because that would make sense within the lore. And also would be a really great way of explaining Snoke and giving him a satisfying story to it.
I would disagree on the fact that Sith can't be Force ghosts. Like, that's a thing.
Yeah, but that could be part of Dark Plagueis. You have to be a Jedi to be a
Force ghost.
Well, like a dark Force ghost.
You gotta be a Jedi to be a Force ghost.
Like, he possesses an item, for example. That would be what Darth Plagueis
I get what you're saying. They could have changed the lore a little bit to do that.
He possesses people and as such, and that's another reason would be like he maybe possesses Rey.
I mean, that was kind of in there because he apparently was like pushing Kylo Ren to do what he had done the whole time. Like he killed Han because Palpatine was like urging him to do it or something like that.
Do it.
Anyway,
but yeah, no. The explanation of Palpatine's return, there's no explanation.
There's none. You can infer. My inference was that he's a clone.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to say this right now. I call bullcrap. Yeah, because think for a moment. First off, Palpatine was chucked down a gigantic, hole. Mm-hmm. And you saw this gigantic, electric wave come up. Mm-hmm.
He was also the most powerful Sith ever. Pretty much for the
understand
for the most part, he's an extremely powerful Sith, and we come back to see that he's all hooked up to these machines, and he could be a clone.
So also, take into consideration this: the fact that he assuming he survived that fall,
right?
Which even Sith or not, very unlikely that he would. But if he did, he would have at least survived with significant damage from that fall.
He did look pretty damaged.
Also taking into consideration the fact that the Death Star exploded.
Yeah.
And not even a minor explosion. The thing exploded into small pieces. Which also leads me to the fact of how did those big pieces that landed on the ship, how did those pieces...
Because 1900s, late 1900s animation was not very good. So all they could show is just it evaporating.
It wasn't an evaporation. It just showed it. Boom!
Yeah, and it was all just fire. But they couldn't show pieces of it.
The
Yeah,
Knights of Ren doesn't make, like, I was so excited because in the lore, the comics and all that, literally they were built up to be these dark side kind of, like they were with Kylo Ren when they destroyed the Jedi temple that Luke made. They're these super awesome, like, Death Squad.
Yeah.
They could take Kylo Ren on, they were meant to kill Jedi.
Yeah.
And we see them, and then they are just like, we just show up.
Yeah.
That's literally their whole role in the film.
I think that is more of a second film problem that was
And
caused.
you know what? I'm going to say this right now. Probably the exact same issue we were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Probably way more footage of him. There was probably a really cool, like, fight with them that got cut from the film.
Something I haven't really understood, and it might be talked about in the lore or something, but the connection that Ren and Rey, Kylo Ren and Rey, have that allow them to fight each other when they're like light years from each other. That part I never really quite can't. That's a little much. That's a little much. I mean, I get like there's a connection there and stuff, but either way. But last thing I want to talk about, and then we can move on, is the coolest scene that I saw. Whether or not it was the best story-wise, which we talked about it, and I'm pretty sure you agree that it could have been better, because they kind of backpedal a little bit. But the scene where both Rey and Ren were, oh geez, that's my phone. The scene where both Rey and Ren were force pulling the shuttle, and then lightning came from Rey. That was beautiful. Now, not story-wise, just the visuals of that scene was amazing.
My jaw dropped.
Yeah.
Because I saw that, and then she destroyed his ship, and she thinks she killed Chewie.
We all thought she killed Chewie.
My jaw dropped. I'm like...
Yeah. And I get it. I agree. It probably would have been a little better if Chewie actually had been killed, and then they dealt with the ramifications of that.
There's no weight to it then. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
it doesn't take any risk.
It's just a visually pleasing scene.
It doesn't take any risk.
Yeah. Although, I mean, it does subvert the audience's expectations a little bit if you
It would have been
if you bought into the idea that he was actually killed.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's also, you can't, subverting expectations.
But it's Disney, so they're not going to kill Chewbacca because they want to sell toys.
Yeah, but Endgame subverted expectations to some degree.
I mean, they killed Gamora, but then they brought her back.
Yeah, but then they also killed
Black Widow, and now she's got her own film. I mean,
and that's gonna be a prequel though, from the sounds of it.
Yeah, but anyway. So that's Star Wars. Did you have anything else you wanted to say before we move on?
Oh, there's so much more I wanted to say,
lot.
But we're gonna go ahead and end it here.
So,
alrighty. So
next,
I give it a 7 out of 10 though. That's a comment.
That's what he's giving it. Next, we're going to go to a new segment, Matthew, that I've been trying to convince you to do for a while because I think it's going to be really great. I think you're going to be good at it. And this segment is called Well, Technically, and it's a segment where, Matthew, why don't you go ahead and talk
So we're going to be talking tech news, kind of. We're just going to be discussing CES this year.
So Matthew, real quick, is a big tech guy. And all the time he's telling me about, the NVIDIA STG LR5060, and I'm just sitting here like, yeah, totally.
I totally get it.
So, Matthew, you're going to talk about tech stuff, and I'm going to pretend like I understand it, so go for it.
We've seen some really interesting announcements from NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, stuff like that. Samsung made a huge presence this year, announcing new TVs, new smart home products. They've been really digging into the smart home market and artificial intelligence, not just the stuff that we've seen, but more enterprise and corporation AI that could potentially replace workers in some fields. There was some interesting stuff. We saw some stuff from Pimax.
Well, we were just talking about Star Wars. Why don't you talk about the BB-8 droid that they've released?
So Samsung announced this droid called Bali. It's basically a smart home hub similar to Google Home Mini.
What?
Similar to like a Google Home Mini.
Oh, it's a smart home hub?
Yeah.
Okay.
So on wheels.
Yeah.
Basically, it will walk around your home with you. Has got a camera, a microphone, everything like that. You can communicate to it to tell it to do certain tasks, like turn on the television, turn on the microwave, cook stuff, turn off lights. turn on the music. Also, you can connect it to other smart appliances like your garage door, your house locks, stuff like that. And personally, I'm interested to see where this goes. The technology is really nice. I own a Google Home Mini. Cody here is super hesitant on embracing that technology.
I am one of the skeptics who believe that machines are going to take over the world.
And especially,
okay, but I'll keep it short and simple. I don't want a camera following me around in my home to send all my information to the IRS.
It's so cute, though.
Like, come on.
I would have that thing follow me around.
I know you would, but it's just creepy. That's just creepy to me. But continue.
So, also, we got to see Samsung's new. So they originally last year they had a TV called The Wall. Mm-hmm. Not the Pink Floyd album The Wall, but just The Wall. It's a huge, gigantic, like 200 and something inch television. It is huge. So they went ahead and one up it this year. 4 times. It's got a mini.
Was it a 400-inch television?
No, not really.
Okay.
But basically, they operate as panels, and they've got new technology called like mini LEDs. So it's like got 4 times the kind of picture quality as a regular LED panel. It's an 8K television that draws in for their max like 293 feet television, draws at a whopping 9,000 watts of power.
Yeah, but like, can't your eyeball only take in like barely any more than 4K?
Yeah, but again, you also have to take into consideration the size that we're going to. Usually, with that big of a television, it's probably good to have that as an 8K image, because that thing's a big television.
Man.
That's a big television.
That's ridiculous.
200 something. Well, and this isn't just something a normal consumer can buy. However, they do have 75 and 65 inch versions of their mini LED panels. Is regular kind of consumer grade. However, they're way too expensive and you'll not afford it.
Nope.
So yeah, they showed off that, and the tech's amazing. The amount of time that's been since their last improvement, so definitely changed. 4 times the pixel quality. Along with that, we've seen Sony. We've talked a little bit about them, but they also announced an interesting announcement. They've announced an interesting thing at CES, a car. I guess Sony's getting into the car business.
Sony's building a car?
Yes, that's a thing.
No, thanks.
No. Wouldn't you trust them to have,
Yeah, no, I don't trust them with a car.
Oh my god, I'm pretty certain that it's going to be an electric vehicle.
Well, I would imagine so.
But I saw that announcement and thought that was like super interesting to see that. AMD announced their new CPUs, and it pretty much dug Intel into even a bigger hole than they had originally been planned. They announced their new work line of CPUs, primarily Threadripper, their server-based CPUs. And holy crap, is that expensive. $4,000 for a CPU, but that thing is literally amazing.
Dude. So, my question, you talked about AI taking over jobs. What's that all about?
So that is part of Samsung's Neon. Let me just be perfectly clear. The technology is super basic right now. So what they're talking about is having AI that can emote like humans can.
That's not super basic. That is not super basic. That's Terminator shit.
Oh, hey, you just cussed.
That's Terminator. Quack. You guys just heard a quack sound, I imagine.
Quack. Oh boy, we're getting demonetized.
We're monetized? That'd be great.
Oh man. Hey Google, we're sorry. Please don't. Hey, now we can at least say our video's not for kids.
Right? Okay. Emotes.
Oh my God.
So it emotes. What does that mean?
So what this AI is it has people come in, they take pictures of it, and they record their faces. And the AI takes in that data and kind of puts that in all together. Mm-hmm. And you end up coming out with this really weird AI that's emotes just like a human would, responds to questions and stuff. And it's not really meant for a consumer.
Yeah. Is it like the chatbot, but with emotions?
Yes, but more. It's got like it can express anger. It can express frustration.
Hopefully it
fatigue.
doesn't learn from the internet. It'll just be ah.
Oh man. But yeah, no, it's learning all the time based on human interaction. It's got its own personality.
I don't like
its
it,
own
Matthew.
traits.
I don't like it.
Oh man. But basically, this is more for enterprise and company uses. They're wanting to go ahead and use this in something like a receptionist kind of job at like airports and stuff like that, and kind of use it in more of an enterprise / company kind of area. So it's not like something consumers would get access to. But I jokingly said to a couple of my coworkers, we're getting replaced in 2020. So unfortunately, good news though is that the technology, at least at the moment, is like super basic, and the likelihood of this happening recently is
But if it exists and
it is starting,
and it's good, then it's gonna get money and then it's gonna explode.
We don't have to pay our workers at all. It's great,
right? We'll just make robotic slaves. That couldn't possibly go wrong.
Skynet, it's all over again.
Anyways, technically.
Well, technically,
that was pretty good.
That was pretty good. Alrighty, guys, let's get on over to the next segment.
Our last and final segment, which I can't play the soundbite for anymore, Matthew, because Google ruined it, just like they ruined everything. And now we're demonetized.
Now we're definitely demonetized, and then they're like typing in the comments. Like,
I'll do my best impression. Here we go. LPIAY.
LPIAY.
What do we got for this week, Matthew?
Alrighty, guys. Last podcast, I asked you what, with the 21st century. That, by the way, it's not the 21st century. Just the,
it's still the 21st century.
We're still the 21st century. I'm sorry, guys. I screwed up there.
The 21st decade.
The 21st decade
it's not
being coming over to
with
a close.
2010 to 2020 ending, and moving on to 2020 to 2030.
What would you consider to be the movie / video game of the decade? Unfortunately, we did not get any responses.
That is a big question. But everybody was doing holiday stuff, so,
Oof. Obviously, wow, there was a lot of movies coming out.
There's a lot. I have my answer.
Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain.
No. Disagree. Smash that disagree button.
What would you consider to be your
movie of the decade? Endgame.
Mm-hmm. Either one.
Endgame.
Oh yeah, no, Endgame. We agree.
Yeah.
Endgame. No,
Endgame is the movie of the decade.
Oh yeah, no, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
No, that's not even negotiable.
Infinity War
to
Endgame.
Our decade.
Dude, the scene where
I didn't
Captain
see
America
Ant-Man
stands up
at all.
You didn't see what?
I didn't get to see that scene that everybody was talking about, the Ant-Man scene.
Oh my god,
everybody was wanting to happen.
Well, the internet can not
Back
always
away.
be right. But no, dude, it's nothing beats it for me. I don't have a super awesome video game that I've seen. What about you?
Well, I've already said, as far as movie goes,
what movie? Because your video game's wrong.
What? No, we'll explain why it's wrong, okay?
Because it's wrong. Continue.
You can't just say it's wrong.
Yes,
no,
I can.
Now
I
I'm
just
fixating.
Did. I have spoken.
I don't think you.
I have spoken.
And I'm saying elaborate.
What's your movie of the decade? Of the whatever.
Okay.
It's not really
my
the
movie
decade,
of the decade. Yeah, no, it'd have to be Endgame. That or wow, there was a lot. There was a lot of movies that came out in 10 years.
Yeah.
Honestly, I really like Tron. I know a lot of people would be like, "Well, that's not a movie of the decade. That movie wasn't that great."
It's a decade for you. Oh, jeez. I was trying not to yawn on the microphone, but there we go.
Whee! Anyway, but yeah, no, that would be one of my
Endgame
movies for the decades.
Yeah.
And Endgame.
Looking forward to new Marvel stuff.
I'm so excited.
Watch Captain Marvel. She's going to be the leader of the Avengers now, apparently. Yeah, well, I only read the headlines because I don't want spoilers, but
actually,
watch Captain Marvel.
Another good one contender would be Joker. I really like Joker. Even though that is a more fairly
super depressing,
recent.
though.
It is a really good film, though.
No, it was a really good character. The film itself was really depressing and dark and sad.
I mean, that's okay
but
to have a depressing movie.
The best character of the 10 years. for sure.
Yeah.
Like, that was the best performance of a character I've ever seen.
I'm so excited to see what they do more with it.
I don't know where they can take it, honestly, so it'll be interesting.
you
I
got
know they're
Bruce
rebooting
Wayne.
Batman again, and now it's Mr.
Actually,
Vampire Kid. He's going to be Batman now.
They actually saw some. I actually did see some pictures of on set for that movie, and they have the Penguin.
Yeah, I saw they had the Penguin. I don't care what they do with it. They just need to stick with someone and stop switching out actors. Like,
it's because they don't know what they do.
Yeah,
they have no plan.
Mm-hmm.
But
anyways, what's the next question, Matthew?
Alrighty, guys. Our next question is going to be: what is something you should never ask/tell your boss? This is more of a fun kind of segment. Keep it PG-13, people, because we are a PG-13 kind of podcast. But yeah, no, we wanted to do something a little bit fun with this next question. And I feel like you guys would definitely respond with this one. Cody's over here nodding his head like, oh God, no.
Shaking my head. I'm not nodding. This is another one of those questions, Matthew.
Oh, no.
I should have looked over your question before we started recording, Matthew.
Oh, so anyway,
that's
go ahead
it for
and let
this
us know.
podcast. So thank you guys so much for listening. Welcome to 2020. I hope you guys are having a wonderful 2020.
And remember on YouTube, smash that like button, smash that subscribe
smash
button,
that disagree button,
and
Matthew.
disagree button.
Yeah. Okay, so
where can they find us on social media?
They can find us on Facebook at Back From The Grid Podcast. You can find us on Twitter and Twitch at Back From The Grid. And Twitch, we're going to be live streaming on Wednesdays now. Hopefully Wednesdays. If not Wednesdays, probably like the weekend or something. But most Wednesdays we will be live streaming. Come check us out, guys. Come say hi. We'd love to talk with you guys and hang out. And it's all fun and wonderful stuff.
Yeah.
So that's going to be it, man. This is 2020. We're back. We're doing it. We're
back
getting
at it
things
again
rolling.
with them white vans.
And we will see you on the next exciting episode of the Back From The Grid podcast.
Bye, everybody.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.